A Collector's Guide, Louis Vuitton and Yayoi Kusama's collaboration for 2023. Yayoi Kusama stands small at the age of 94. Her reputation for mental illness somehow leads the discourse on her artwork. Her petiteness and her apparent fragility come into question while her artwork sweeps across the fashion districts around the world. Among the loud and abundant discourse, the casual fashion critic shrieks chaos. They report that Louis Vuitton promoted the Capucines bag alongside the artwork of Joan Mitchell against the will of her estate. The face of the advertisement, Léa Seydoux, also appears prominently in the new Kusama collaboration. High fashion in general is under attack. Most recently, Balenciaga entered the news cycle with high notoriety, tarnishing their name with accusations of sexual abuse towards children. Child trafficking being the latest sensation, a la Epstein, any notion in that direction is certain to attract sweeping backlash by casual critics all over social media. Have marketing teams lost their grip? Although many of the sources of outrage are defensible, the unfortunate reality of the current age is that anybody with an opinion can publish their half-baked instant reaction over social media. Reports need not be factual, but rather they must go viral. As much as outrage is infectious, the videos circulating outrage over Kusama's collaboration with Louis Vuitton have painted a highly negative image of the brand. Despite the publicity, this hasn't translated directly into daily discourse in the way shearling had its grip on us in 2020, or in the way that Chanel 19 bag outpaced all the rest. It is unfortunate that the real story of Yayoi Kusama needs to be retold. Yayoi Kusama and her history with fashion. Owing to the ease that polka dots can be imitated, Kusama joined with a fashion company that had been emulating her style and achieved notable success. Bloomingdale's across the United States featured Kusama's Corner, and her brand even had a boutique on 6th Avenue for a time. An offshoot of the Kusama clothing line was a brand that celebrated sex, offering pieces that accommodate pairs or groups to allow them to connect more easily. Kusama says in her autobiography, Infinity Net, clothes should bring people together, not separate them. Now let's talk about the Louis Vuitton and Kusama collaboration of 2011. Yayoi Kusama remarks on Marc Jacobs during her collaboration with Louis Vuitton in 2011. Marc Jacobs' sincere attitude towards art is the same as my own. I respect him as a wonderful designer. Louis Vuitton understands and appreciates the nature of my art. Therefore, there isn't much difference from my process of making fashion. This is what he had to say about their collaboration. This round shape that has no end, and therefore it's infinite, and all in all, I think it has the vibrance, the energy, and it also represents, I think, a true collaboration, because there's very much this Vuitton monogram and the spots from Kusama, and to me, both of them are endless but timeless and forever. The collaboration achieved enormous success, with the storefronts rebranding to incorporate her artwork as well as her image represented as a life-size wax figurine behind the glass. This leads me to discuss Kusama's representation in her work. A controversial point was the larger-than-life balloon of Kusama painting a polka dot on the storefront of Louis Vuitton. The points covered how it appeared to mock or somehow diminish the work of Yayoi Kusama. The discourse involves cheapening of the art, as though it is something sacred, and that the brand is operating against her will. It takes little research to see that Kusama's image and her work are very closely related. She has inserted herself in photographs with her artwork since the earliest days in New York. As much a piece of the art, she carefully presents herself in a distinct colorful bob and avant-garde clothing, or lack thereof. But what of the scaled-up production of her artwork on bags? Surely these are prints and not hand-painted by the artist herself. Do they contain value? The answer lies, again, in Kusama herself. Dial the clock back to 2017. Her greatest success in an installation was All the Eternal Love I Have for the Pumpkins. This featured infinity, polka dots, and dozens of pumpkins for visitors to be immersed in. Somewhere among the throes of people who came from far and wide to experience the art, a pumpkin was damaged. It was apparent that Kusama was going to make a new one to be added back into the installation, but an official notice reported that the pumpkin had little intrinsic value in itself. Now, Dial the clock back to 1966. Kusama makes a splash by setting up an installation surrounding herself among mirror balls at Narcissus Garden. She was never invited to display her art, much as her career featured her exile from the male-dominated field. But her presence and her message drew the attention she very possibly sought. She sold each piece to the visitors for $2. Is the art in the mirror ball, or is the art somewhere else? Kusama's history with a representation of the art puts little focus on the difficulty of creating polka dots, or making each ball or pumpkin. It was never about the objects themselves. Louis Vuitton's collection features high-quality printing techniques and other artisanal manufacturing methods. Despite how interesting the image of Kusama herself hand-painting all the polka dots would be, this isn't a reflection of cheapening of art, but rather should highlight the larger impact that the art is meant to have. A polka dot is very easy to emulate, but there is only one Yayoi Kusama. In conclusion, Kusama is no stranger to publicity, and her art is no stranger to imitation and commercialization. She has a controversial and notable career that heavily involved fighting for a spot on the table. Thus, it does not appear that a collaboration with one of the most important fashion houses of this century is something which would hurt or diminish her art. Rather, it would provide an incredible opportunity for us to live among her work and appreciate it even more. For the collector, pieces of the 2011 collection that exist on the secondary market demonstrate that certain handbags from this collection have increased from its original value despite being over 12 years old. As the leather goods do not degrade easily, a bag in like-new quality maintains collector's value tied to the most famous designer in recent times, Marc Jacobs, in addition to the artwork of the living legend Yayoi Kusama. The current collection is set among controversy, but perhaps that is the best that we can expect in our rage-filled news cycle. Retrospectively, this collection will still be one that is remembered over the other collaborations for garnering attention and reactivating discourse on the value of artists. Kusama is now 94 years old, and a piece of her art tied to the timeless and valuable craftsmanship of Louis Vuitton may bring unprecedented longevity. Her art has one of the highest valuations for a female artist at auction, having once reached up to $7 million. One may suspect that the $2 mirror ball of 1966, if they are still around, may have the highest return on investment. But without a time machine or millions to spare, this can be the next best option.